Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, what happened? So what happened last week? Well, a number of things happened last week. I think kind of started off with me dealing with some issues that spiraled from the week before. So the week commencing the 21st of February 2022. And I kind of rolled it into last week. And I'm currently just waiting to see how that pans out. Personally, I don't like to bring my personal life or work stuff into this. I don't like discussing it here unless discussing it here. I just want this to only be things linked to the novel, me writing the novel. So the reason why I mention it is because it may have impacted the novel or influenced it or inspired some bits in the novel. That's why I mentioned it. But as I said, that's personal, nothing to do here. It's just mention it because it probably would have inspired a little some things or tweaks in the novel. That's why I mentioned it. So with regards to what happened last week, had some interesting news, which interesting news. So the stuff I've been working on for over 10 years, which finally paid off. So as a result, it will definitely impact my writing. So technically my writing's gonna take a bit of a back burner, go for a while. But don't worry, I will continue writing this novel. It just means that I might have to extend my deadline a bit further. Like I will still try my best to try and finish the novel this year, but possibility it could spiral into next year. I know I had planned to finish the novel last year, but then, in all fairness, started the novel like around September, maybe June, or like so. Did it well? Yeah, I kind of started the novel late last year, and we're only in this year, so yeah, see how this goes. But I said I will definitely write this novel. One, I started this, so this motivates me to write the novel and finish it, to be honest. Like, I enjoy writing the novel, I find it therapeutic. It kind of helps me escape from the madness that is going on in the world. If you haven't watched the news lately, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. So I use this novel to escape from the crap in the world. So, and it's worked really good for me, I must say. So I definitely will keep it up. It's just I now have a lot on my plate, so it probably delay things, but I will still aim to try and get this done this year. Anywho, and unfortunately, I am still struggling with chapter 5 of my novel. I had planned on finishing it last week, but it's kind of spiraled into this week. It's just the thing about chapter 5, it's one of those chapters which if I wrote it fastly, it wouldn't. I'm probably going to end up editing and re-editing that chapter several times when I finish this book because it does drop a few Easter eggs. It's the chapter where I do drop a few or Easter eggs or wee hints here and there. But then I don't want to overplay my hand in chapter 5. At the same time, I don't want to underplay it. So it's that balance. I hope I'm not spoiling for you by telling you, oh, chapter 5 is the one to watch out for. But yeah. No, it's not like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones kind of thing. But I feel as if chapter 5 does kind of unravel a few clues as to what's going on or what you think is going on. I don't know. We'll see. It depends. It's weird because like how I say with the novel, I wrote the first chapter and the last chapter, and I've planned it. I've kind of planned the novel in a skeleton way. But whenever I actually sit down, I've got skeleton way in the sense where I kind of have a plan of what I want to achieve in each chapter. But I find whenever I actually sit down to write the chapter, it spirals and it kind of has a life of its own and just comes into being. And half the time, what I had set out to do in that chapter just kind of develops wings, legs, and flies on his own tangent. So at the moment, chapter 5, I feel as if I'm trying to, I think it's probably why I'm struggling with it. I'm trying so hard to control the inspiration or the flow of the writing, which is probably, or maybe I'm overthinking it, and that's why I am struggling with it. I don't know, because with the other ones, I kind of just let it go and root, and I was fine. But this one, I kind of, maybe I've just built it up so much in my head that is probably hindering my own writing. But we'll see. I'll keep at it. The next chapter should hopefully be a lot more straightforward. Hopefully. Anyway, so I'm not gonna lie, I am sidetracked last week, and I hope this week will be a lot better. So what else happened last week? Oh, I stumbled onto something. So figuratively, I do have a friend that works with vulnerable elderly people in clinical settings, and that's as much as I'm willing to share with you about my personal life or work life or anything in general. So anyway, this friend noticed that some of the vulnerable elders that they work with are confused either due to different health conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's. That's, but I said I can't go into that because yeah. So anyway, they've noticed that these vulnerable, confused elderly people often found the noisy hospital environment tends to make them more anxious or more confused to some extent. So that's what my friend found out. So what they started doing, they started using music to see if they can calm the patients down. To calm patients down, and like I think they kind of felt like that using the music, it kind of gave the patients something else to focus on. Because if you notice, it's like, I don't know about you, but whenever I've been in hospitals, there's loads of background noise. Like, I mean, staff talking to other staff or to patients, hospital machines, like maybe the drip or buzzer, or just people walking, doing their job, or just, I mean, appliances and different things. So these are stuff, like for me, I'd probably, after the first few minutes, it's annoying, but after a while, I'll just block it out. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm in a hospital, so it's fine. But imagine if you're confused, you don't know why you're there, and to some extent, you don't even know what place you're in. That's quite frightening. So I think what the friend would do was use the music to try and build a rapport with the patient. And maybe just ask them, so what kind of music do you like? Get them talking, and once you build a rapport with the patient, they can try and find ways to try and calm the patient down. And usually, yeah, kind of seems to be working. I think they tend to start off with like lullabies, because now 10 times most people would know some lullaby. They would have either learned it in school or at home, to see if they can use that to calm the patient or maybe distract the patient from all the noises going on around them. And sometimes it might just be the patient's happy to see a source of noise that they can identify. Because think of it, some of the noises might be even from just something outside the ward, which the patient can hear, but those, or even in another bed in the ward, which the patient is probably, I mean, I know for me, like, noises that I cannot identify or distinguish would wind me up, or can't tell what it is would wind me up. So I think it's just a case of them putting themselves in the patient's shoes and seeing how they could try and make things better. So yeah, so far it seems to be working what they're doing. So yeah, so why did I bring this up? The wrong reasons why I brought this up is because I've always been fascinated by the human brain. It's an area I've always really wanted to explore, and it does feature in various forms in my novel. And this incident that I've mentioned, I would no, it doesn't feature, but it inspires certain events in the novel, or symbolic, yeah, symbolic, like some symbols or ways in a way influences it. And I think one reason why I'm fascinated with the brain, because I remember from a young age always been told an active body, active mind, or idle hands is a devil's workshop. And I think personally I've kind of found that there are various ways of exercising the mind. Like when I was younger, I would do like different problem solving games or even video games that I enjoy, but they were kind of interactive and involved quite a number of problem solving, like Sudoku or playing chess, playing different strategic or yeah, problem solving games, like some video games. And they tend to do wonders for the mind. They kind of keep you alert, active, young. Well, I thought it did anyway. I think it still does. But at the same time, I personally do feel that the brain is a lot more complex than that. I think the older I've gotten, or the more I've learned of the brain, I kind of feel that it's a lot more complex than that. I think when I was young, I just thought the brain is just problem solved, but the more I learn about it, I realize it's a lot more complex. Like I think now I kind of feel like there are loads of ways to exercise the brain. There's not just one method or one way, because like even doing mundane tasks and just simple exercises does exercise the brain. Because if you think of it, like the brain doesn't just do problem solving. Like the brain does have various parts to it, and some of these parts are involved with motor skills, sensory skills, even and more complex skills like social skills and problem solving. So merely doing problem solving skills will be the equivalent of a gym fanatic, only exercising their upper limbs or just doing cardio with no weights. So like cardio is a good exercise, but yeah, I mean just doing cardio with no weights or resistance training or stuff like that for a month or something. Yeah, you get fit, but will your body overcompensate in certain muscles and leave out some muscles? Like this wood that's work out the upper limbs and the upper limbs are like so big, but then the rest of the body is like really skinny. I mean, that's how I kind of feel when you overdo one aspect of the brain, does another bit of the brain wither or cease to exist. I don't know. These are just ideas. I don't know. Just crazy ideas I'm trying out. Anywho, so pretty much, I just think that exercises for the brain should be stuff that involve or engages all aspects of the brain, which I do kind of play around with the idea in the book, but said, I don't know. I think if you think of it, when you exercise or when I exercise, my brain, my body is sending instructions to my limbs, to my body, telling it to move. Like literally, the brain is effortlessly sending signals to my muscles and my body every time I walk, I talk, or even think. Like, how amazing is that of the human brain? So, technically, by exercising, I am working out that part of my brain that is involved in controlling the muscles that I need to exercise, that I use to exercise. And as a result, with exercising, I end up also involving other muscles and other parts of the brain. Not like, for instance, yes, I'm exercising, I'm moving my hands, but eventually my heart rate's going to go up. So that's another muscle. And I start breathing faster. And this will then engage various muscles involved in the respiratory and the circulatory system in the body. So simple exercise, probably not to be sniggered at when it comes to exercising the brain. I know that sounds crazy, but I kind of feel like exercise does involve a lot. Especially if it involves most of your body parts and you're thinking about what you're doing. But these are just some ideas I will play around with in the novel ish. Not in the remember, it's a fantasy novel, so I have some, how I say, creative license as to how crazy I can go with my idea, or even keep it logical but with a bit of flair and I don't know, fiction to it. Anyway, I think part of me is also thinking that with this, like wild idea here. As in, like, maybe one could actually exercise the brain by influencing the environment, like, or using stuff that can, in the environment, that can also directly or indirectly influence the brain. Say, for example, music or smell. Because with music, to hear music or to hear, it involves the auditory nerve, which is one of the cranial nerves that kind of springs out from the brain. To smell involves the olfactory nerve, which is one of the cranial nerves, which is also directly springs out from the brain as well. So I don't know. I think for me, I think music does feature quite a bit in the book. And I think one of the reasons why I probably do like talking about music, because I love music and I use it a lot for lots of things. And I use music to get me into the mood for a lot of things I enjoy, and also for things I don't enjoy. And also I use it to help me relax and to distress. So I do touch upon it in different ways with regards to the brain, or I don't know. But so these are just crazy ideas that I'm putting out there. And also, I have also heard of some people that use music to help them tap into old memories or even to help store new memories. So, for instance, is there like one particular tune or song that brings back memories from the past? So, I don't know. So, for me, okay, so part of me thinks like in the past. So, like when you hear that music, it just brings floods of memory from your past, which I think is quite cool how the brain can do that. Mm. So, technically, you can use, so this is a crazy idea. So if you can hear a music or a tune and it can bring back a memory or an emotion, you could probably manipulate that to store information in your head, so that whenever you wanted to remember that, all you have to do is hear that tune or think of that tune, and hopefully it could. Yeah, I know that's a crazy idea, but I don't know. I'm just thinking, probably could be used to help you remember stuff. Like I know, like in school, some of the stuff I remember from class is usually if the teacher told a story whenever they're teaching a topic. Because that's this, I would always remember the story because I enjoyed the story. And indirectly, that will lead to me remembering whatever the teacher was telling me. So, it's for example, there is a topic that you're struggling with, but then you're listening to a music that you really like, you could try and attach that information of that topic to the music. So all you need to do is either hear the music to refresh your memory of the stuff you are reading about or the information you are trying to remember, or all you have to do is think of that music to try. Because there's sometimes you think of a music and all of a sudden you can actually hear the music in your head, or it kind of just plays on its own. And, well, not plays on its own, but you can kind of, yeah, something like that. So that's just an idea I'm trying to play around with. Which the beauty of writing science fiction is that it can be logical, but it doesn't have to. It can also be crazy and out there fiction as well. So, and these are just a few crazy ideas I'm happy to explore in the novel. Yeah. I think the novel does feature a lot about energies and stuff like that. Or, like, one of the ideas is that I'm looking at the human brain like a control center for the body's energy generator or something like that. So your body generates energy, but the brain kind of controls how it's used or how it is spread, kind of thing. Like if you think of it like, like a control panel in a machine or something like that. So like I think it's case of most energies follow rules of movement or transfer. So for instance, if you boil water in a metal pot, the metal heat up, and the heat from the metal then transfers to the water in the pot, and heat the heat transfers to the water. This then causes the molecules in the water to vibrate and causing the bonds in the water to break, and then you see the water evaporate. Okay, so I think for me, the reason why I mentioned this is because I'm kind of looking at the idea that music tends to, like music link between music and vibration and rhythm, and also the body as well, with regards to vibration and rhythm, because the body does have its own vibration or frequency and also does have its own rhythm. Because if you think of it, your heart always beats, it never stops. The fact that it's beating, it's moving, it does have its own rhythm and its own vibration. Like, I mean, that's why you have people end up getting pacemakers to keep the heart within a certain rhythm that is safe for it to function, so that it can function properly in the body. So the body does, I think the body overall has its own rhythm, because when you breathe in, breathe out, those are your muscles moving, whether or not you notice it, and that's will provide a rhythm or a vibration. So I kind of play with that idea a bit to some extent and things. See, yeah, as I said, I'm still working on it. There's a few crazy ideas or stuff that I'm working with. But I said I love writing about science fiction and fantasy novels, because then I can dive into ideas or things that, yes, I know sound a bit crazy and a bit, maybe slightly a bit logical, just seeing things from a crazy angle. Enough of that. I could go on talking about this for ages and still not make any sense, to be honest. But that's just the ideas that I'm working with. Another thing I did, so moving on. So another thing I did last week, I wrote a poem. I know, I finally did it. And yeah, it was okay. I'm still working on it. Like, I finished it, but then I wasn't happy with it. So I'm now tweaking it here and there. Like, it's finished, but it's a case of editing, re-editing, readjusting it. And once I'm happy with it, I will definitely share it with you guys here. So that is it for today. Oh, and also I will also provide sources of information, the source of inspiration I had for this week. So if you look in the comment section of this video, you see a list of things that inspired me this week. Well, that's it for today, folks, and have a lovely day, a lovely week, and thanks for stopping by.